Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate for Older Adults. I am Hilary Walker, the Seniors Real Estate Specialist at Atlanta Seniors Real Estate LLC. Where real estate is more than property, it's about the people. We specialize in working with people who are baby boomers and empty nesters, and you are listening to the podcast that talks about the many issues, challenges, tips and tricks that we come across when working with people over the age of 50. A quick disclaimer for you. We are realtors designated through the National Association of Realtors. We do not intend to give legal, medical, or financial advice outside of the scope of real estate, and any information we do discuss here, it's from our experience of working in such situations, and there'll be many. But we suggest that you gather professional advice as and when needed. So, let's jump into today's discussion. Okay, so welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate for Older Adults. So in this episode, we're going to dive into the heart of family dynamics and caregiving. Today, I am joined by my brother, who I call Bruv. Yeah, say hello, Bruv.
Hello.
And as siblings, we've been navigating the complex world of elder care for our mum. So we'll share our unique experiences, insights, and perhaps a few laughs along the way. All that we can talk about is the journey that we've been going through caring for our aging mum, and how this is something that's probably going to resonate with a lot of you listening. So, Bruv, you're in America right now.
Yes, I am.
And actually, just in point, why we got together to visit. So for the listeners, I live in Atlanta, as some of you probably already know. Bruv lives in England.
Okay.
Yep. And we had a conversation with our aunt a few weeks back.
I realised that she's suffering from dementia.
Huh?
The conversation I had with her, she was just a little bit forgetful, and I thought, I want to go and see her before it gets worse. Unfortunately, it's got a lot worse in a short period of time.
Extremely rapid. So we've had a few days together. We've gone and seen her a few times, and that's been quite difficult, really. I've certainly struggled with it. This is an aunt who we grew up with. She was always in our lives in the sense that she lived down the road, and we'd go visit, and she'd be visiting us. So
She'd be looking after.
And she's younger than our mother, and our mother doesn't have dementia that we can recognize. So if there's some there we don't recognize it, she's absolutely fine with her cognitive ability right now. We can have good conversations with her. So it's a little bit scary, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're here in Florida visiting family and our auntie, and wishing her well, really. But I thought this was a great opportunity for us to chit chat, because while we talk to each other all the time, the work I do, and so it just comes right home to roost, really, because my clients or people I work with are going through a lot of the similar things that you and I go through with our parents or with our mum. So let's do this. Bruv, tell us a little bit about your background. Like, what do you do back home?
So I'm a self-employed contractor. I do electrical installations for commercial businesses, offices, restaurants, stuff like that. And obviously I've got a few guys that work for me. So my work is quite busy, quite intense, especially when it becomes towards ends of contracts and stuff like that. I also have 3 children, which is a big part of my life still, even though they're older now, but they will need attention in different ways and stuff like that. Currently single. That doesn't mean to say, ladies, you have to jump on board yet. Not just yet, all right. But anyway, sorry, currently single. So, I'm running between my own family and mum as well. So, and obviously work. That's basically my life at the moment.
And that's a lot already, as we all know. Just doing life by itself is one thing. And then add in mum, who has had a lot of needs over the last few years, really. She's aged quite a bit in the last few years. So when do you think you realised that she needed more care or involvement?
There's a saying, and it's so true. So as with your babies, obviously they need a lot of care at first, and then, they grow up. And it's sort of reverted now. So obviously now, at first, it was just like a little bit of care. Like, I can't get somewhere, so can you give me a lift? Okay, no problem. And it's gradually just got more and more and more until, almost like making sure they're eating properly, they're constantly, you want to make sure they got, you're keeping them company, you're going to make sure they're okay in all aspects. So it's almost like now you're now have another child because you need to check in, you need to make sure you're there, you need to make sure they're alright. Yeah, it comes, but it's been gradual, but now it's quite intense. So it kind of sneaks up on you on how much effort you need to put in, because at first it was like, you know, just pop in and check everything's alright. Yeah. And now it's like, no, you need to make sure a few times a week. You need to make sure there's food there. You need to make sure her health is okay. You need to make sure she's doing what she needs to be doing.
And on top of that, personality matters, I think, is our mum is a passive person. She was very independent, does all of what she needed to do. But when it comes to appointments, booking appointments, making sure she's following up on something, she doesn't do any of that anymore. And she almost expects one of us to get involved and do that. So that's an added task for you.
So now she doesn't read any of her letters. She'll just pass that on. Oh, there's letters here. And I need to make sure, whether it's an appointment, whether it's a bank statement, whether it's a bill, that she still gets obscene. Now, say gradually, I've taken over all the bills, all the appointments I get online now, just to make my life easier. She will still get those letters and be like, oh, there's letters here for you. Expect that I have to come around and read them and make sure everything's alright. Because even though she doesn't want to check herself, in the back of her head, the letter, she's a little bit worried about what it is and what does it mean. So she sees a bill there, she'll be like, oh, there's this bill here. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, I've obviously paid it mine or whatever. But she'll see it and she'll be like, oh, you need to deal with this. So again, it's just an added pressure. You could be, you know, up a step ladder or whatever. She's phoning about, she's seen a ladder or, she's seen a letter or, you know, some other thing that's come up in her mind at that moment. She expects you to deal with it instantly. And that's always a challenge. That's a big challenge.
We talked about this separately as well, though, and I have spoken to other people about this, is that our parents don't realise the pressure we're under. And I'm not a psychologist. I don't claim to be clinical at all. But there is something about when they age and they still see us as their children, but not little children. They see us as grown children now. But for some reason, they don't acknowledge that we have a huge amount of responsibility besides them. And so there's this expectation for us to kind of do things as quickly as possible. And I know that's not everybody, but just in our situation, that is what is happening. That's the added pressure that you feel.
Yeah. Mum has no idea of time. Like recently, I've had to say, I'm at work and be quite blunt with it to make her stop calling me during them hours, because there's nothing I can do. And what's important to Mum could be something so minor that it's frustrating to have that phone call when I'm so busy or I'm under pressure doing something else. So for instance, she might ring you middle of the day at work and she wants to know why her remote control's not working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be the batteries, it could be she's not they're falling out, whatever. Or quite simply, she's holding it upside down.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things where she, in her mind, this is important. I need to know now. You're like, this is nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine told me years ago, they said, listen, when you speak to your mum, make sure you have the time to speak to her. So if you are busy, it's better you don't take the call and you call her back, or you to answer the phone and say, Mum, I'm going to call you back in. Is everything all right? I'll call you back. Because you need to stop and listen and take the time out and absorb what they're saying, because in their mind, as I say, it could be something so minor, but to them it's important. So that's another challenge, that you have to find the time. Like, I blanked my mum's phone calls for last times.
Yeah.
Because I know.
Yeah.
I know when it's a problem and I know when it's not a problem. I just seem to know. And then there's other times when it is a problem and I've answered that call and she's like, I need you. And I have to get up and stop what I'm doing and get there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of times, because I'm not in the space to take that call, because again, obviously with the age, she's not going to say, David, I need you to come here and do whatever. It'll be a dragged out conversation.
It'll be a long story.
And
about whatever it is.
You know.
Yeah. It's interesting because what you've just done is you talked about the challenge, but you've also given some really good advice there about people recognizing that, you know, our parents, their cognitive ability is changing, not just to say they're getting dementia or anything like that, but their processing of information or delivery of information or asking someone to help them with something is very different from what it was when we were younger and when they were younger. So that advice to perhaps not have to answer the phone if you can do that, because most people, we panic, right? So if my mum's calling me, so here's a difference though, let's talk about that. So you're there, mum calls you for absolutely everything. It's been a few years now where mum doesn't actually pick up the phone and call me at all, and so of course that bothers me. But if mum calls me, I pick up that phone immediately. Like a couple of weekends ago, the phone rang and I'm like, wait, mum's calling me. Oh, so I went to get it, and by the time I pressed on it, she had hung up. But that to me was then urgent, because if mum's calling me, I've got to take it. There's got to be something wrong. It was not urgent. It was just a chit chat. And actually what happened was I had put a reminder in my phone system that calls her, that I normally call her from, to call her on a particular time, a particular hour. And that reminder actually called her for me. I didn't see that part of the call. So she missed my call and was calling me back, which is also unusual, because she'll miss my call and not call me back many a times. So no, it wasn't urgent. It was just a chit chat though. Exactly. Exactly. So saying that, one of the other things I wanted to mention is what you have done over the course of time, or we have done over the course of time, is we've made sure there are some things in place. So mum had been falling a little bit, quite a while. A few years back, she'd fallen a few times. And so we got her alarm system. Yeah, it's over here it's the alerts, I can't even remember what they call it, but it's I've fallen and I can't get up alert buttons that they wear around their neck or they wear around their wrist. And now you have technology that they could wear it as a watch and it will do similar things. So those things are great. And it will also track where they are. So if they wander or if they're out somewhere and you're trying to find where they are, you can track them. And those are good tools for people to start putting in place if their parent is becoming dependent on them, because then it kind of helps us, because you get a call, right? When mum fell, we get the call saying she's fallen and they're sending out the services and you could get over there in a period of time.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but there's also lots of things that you can just get, like, you know, these cameras, these movement cameras.
Yep.
So you can set up one of these movement cameras in, say, one of the hallways, just to make sure she's moving around. Also, you know, the Alexa devices or the Google devices. I recently got one for mum, so she can now shout, "Call David."
And she loves it.
And she can also use it to play her radio channels. You know, she's into the church, so she plays her gospel and stuff like that, which is quite nice for her. And so again, it's another aid where it takes the pressure off me. Like, it's very, because someone said to me also, your mum might be calling you so much because she's bored, or she just wants someone to talk to.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, like, but talk to someone else, I'm busy. Do you know what I mean? But again, this device where she can just sort of say, "Oh, Alexa, play me this." Again, instead of her calling me, she's done that instead. Alexa's, you know, tell me a joke. Alexa can tell her a joke. So it's sort of another aid where it just takes that pressure off as well. So that's quite good things. But also, again, it's handy because if she does fall in that room, she can shout, "Call David," or whatever, if her alarm doesn't go around her neck or whatever. So, or she doesn't have it because she's left it on the charger, which she's done before. So,
those are good tools. So they're things that should be put in place sooner rather than later, because it helps to relieve some of that. And some of these things we found out along the way. Like, they weren't like, "Oh, mum's aging now, we better do this, that and the other." We've certainly learned by exactly every step.
And I think as well, what we don't realize is this must be a bit of a scary time. You know, we're just sort of saying, "Oh, frustrating." But it must be a bit of a scary time now, because you know yourself, you're getting older and you can't do the things you used to do. I mean, we realize it now at our age.
Right.
You can't do the things we were doing when we was 20. So it must kind of accelerate a bit in your mind as well, that I can't do these things. And if I go outside and slip, then that's it, you know, or I might hurt myself if I go up them steps, or, you know. So you got to consider that she's it's new for her. You see what I'm saying? It's not just mum anymore. These are new experiences she's going through. And you have to take that into consideration. I mean, it's so easy to get frustrated. I get frustrated, I must admit. But you have to kind of think, you know, what's going on with her, her mind at the moment.
Right.
But it's difficult.
Very. And I think you touched on something that is another that piece of advice really is what you're given, is that consider where they're coming from. And so now I'm going to loop this back to our visit here in Florida this week, is we've seen where one of our cousins cannot really communicate well with her mother because she's forgetting, or she's not allowing herself to accept that her mother is really quite ill.
Yeah.
And she's communicating the same way she would if her mum was fine. And we're saying the things like, you have to start having a conversation with someone like they're a child, and you can't treat her like, oh, mum, why are you doing that? Stop doing that. That is it's not going to help. And then your mother is going to get agitated and upset and defensive about everything in that moment. And especially if she's her right self, she might come back at you with a response that you don't like. And then you're going to get into an argument with someone who loses who she is because of the dementia. She goes back into her shell, and this other persona is in front of you that is not speaking one sentence in a complete sentence.
The thing is as well, not in her defense directly, but it's so easy from the outside. So if you're not the primary carer,
yeah,
it's very easy from the outside to look and go, why are you talking? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why did you blah, blah, blah? But what you got to consider is the frustration that
the carer is experiencing.
every day.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah.
So they get frustrated and they shout out and do things where you'd be like, if you just waited a little bit longer, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is every day. It's not today. It's every day.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
because it's hard. Like even with you, sis. Like if you ring me up and go, you know what, David, you should like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Blah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you think I'm doing here? What, you now want me to do this? Like, I've been here, there, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that, and now you're now ringing me from somewhere and going, oh, do you know what you should do? You should do this. It's like, what? You come here and do that. I've done this. I've done that bit. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's another challenge.
It's a challenge, and it's another good piece of advice that you've given is for those of us who are not the primary caregiver to our parents, we really need to consider the person who is, so our sibling. So, and I feel like I'm trying to do that, but it's really hard because I'm at a distance. I'm thousands of miles away. I get the once a week phone call that updates me on things that are going on. And it's, I want to help and I want to do something. So those of us who are at a distance, we want to do something. But I think the first check-in is, hey, bruv, how's things going?
Yeah.
What's happening? And you give me the rundown and I can go, oh, okay. And I can offer a helping hand if I can do it, rather than making a judgment and going, you should do, because I have no idea of how frustrating it really is for you. I'm not there.
Obviously we've experienced recently.
Yeah.
The people from the church.
Yeah.
Have also jumped in and said, you guys should do this, you guys should do that. And they're not realizing how much
we've already done.
So we're getting frustrated with them and now what do you think we're doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously they're seeing certain things and going, oh, why don't you try this for you? Why don't you try that? It helps when they come up with something new, but when you've been doing this for so long, you kind of gone down each avenue.
Right.
So when people are telling you should try this or call these people, they might help, blah blah blah. It's again, it's just frustrating. It's just a challenge.
Yeah.
But most people are trying to help.
Yeah.
They just don't realize what's going on completely.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that might be, again, down to me that I'm not explaining to these people that are trying to help.
Well, you don't have.
But, maybe I should have a bit more patience with them and go, listen, before you say whatever, let me explain where we're at. And then, tell me if you still think that's a good idea. What you do. If you can help in another way.
But again, and that's great advice to say, you as the caregiver to stop and consider somebody else, but that's a difficult thing to do. It's really difficult when people are frustrated, when people are busy, you've got life going on. You can't do that in all circumstances. And you shouldn't be expected to do that in all circumstances because...
I think you, as for me, from my point of view, not everybody's, from my point of view, I'm trying to make my life as easy as possible.
Yeah.
So if it means I need to take a step back and take a breather and explain to you something, so you go away basically, or shut up. Because a lot of these people that just come with these things, it's like you wanted to say shut up, go away. I've had enough. Like, you're not helping me. You do it. It's easier for me to just kind of go like, not get. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to get frustrated. I don't want my blood pressure going up.
Right.
I don't want all them things happen. So if I just breathe and go, look, no, yeah, I've tried that. This is where we're at, blah, 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 blah. Might just diffuse that situation that I'm not going away frustrated thinking, who's this person?
Yeah.
Why are they telling me this?
Yeah. Wow. So then that's an interesting segue, because you talked about keeping your stress level down and managing yourself, making sure your blood pressure doesn't go up or whatever it is that's going on for you, because everybody's got something going on. But in terms of that impact on you having that additional stress to deal with, what is your coping mechanism? What do you do for your self-care? That's a buzzword at the moment, that self-care is important. So what do you do to keep yourself under the stress?
Yes. I think my escape, my things where I just shut down and just do me. That's what I do, but it's not good, because I will literally shut off and just say, I need to take X amount of time. But really, if I can kind of manage that better, I could just calm things down. So how I cope, I'll just be like, right, I'm just not going to answer my phone today, or I'm just not going to do whatever. I want to take out a minute for myself, and I will do whatever. I might go and see some friends. I might go swimming. I might go to the gym. I might just, binge watch a Netflix series, whatever. But it just makes me calm down enough to then continue on. But it's a shutdown. It's a literally shutdown. I'm not managing it. I just get to a point where I'm like, I've had enough. That's it. Shut. And that's probably not the best way of doing it.
So if you were to give yourself some advice, what would it be to do it better?
It's just managing.
Yeah.
So it's just actually just managing that time, I think if it's all down to time, if I had more time, I'd put more things in place that, like a routine, again, going back to children, put your kids in a routine, get them to sleep at the right time, Same thing, get in a routine with my mum, right, I'm going to make your shopping arrive on this day, I'm going to check it, I'm going to make sure you got whatever in your cupboard, so I'm going to make sure you get a delivery on this day and it's going to have everything in it. I'm going to speak to mum on this day, and then I'm going to miss a day, and I'm going to speak to mum on this day, and I'm going to make sure she's all right. I'm going to organise all her appointments. I could take time off at work and take her to these appointments on a Friday and then have a long weekend or whatever the case may be. But it's all time management. Right. And then to do that, you need more time.
Vicious circle.
Exactly.
Yeah, catch 22.
So sometimes, the shutdown just helps me to just kind of refocus.
Right.
You know what I mean? And go forward. But if I had all the time in the world and all the money in the world, that's what I would do. I'd just put in a great routine that is manageable. My mum knows exactly what day I'm coming. She knows what time I'm coming, which means she don't call me something.
Right.
You need this and you need that. And then I have to find my way
to figure it out in the middle of your busyness.
My day and my world.
Yeah. And so we have other siblings. So this is an issue that comes up for many people in this situation, is there are other siblings or there are close relatives, but generally speaking, it always falls on one person. We have three other siblings actually in London, but you can't rely on them. And does that cause you additional frustrations?
One of them we can we can rely on a little bit. The other two, one probably not their fault.
We have a special needs sister, so we don't expect much from her.
And then one would probably say they live too far.
Yeah.
But there's times, like, I could say, I will probably see my aunt in America more than my other sibling will see her mum.
Yeah.
So distance is not really an excuse.
Yeah.
It's an excuse you use, but when you want to do something, you can just
get it done.
There's little things that make a world of difference. It's a little bit of your time, do you know what I mean? Make a world of difference. Other one, he does help, but it's just...
Yeah, and personalities and ability to do certain things, or there's so many different variables that we could throw in there for any family. It's not just ours, that they're going to struggle with trying to get someone else to help. For whatever reason, it's not always possible. So it comes back down to doing the best we can for the situation you have at hand with the resources you have. Because I did want to ask you, and I don't know if I should really open up this Pandora's box, because it's a big one, I think, having dealt with it from a distance, is in the UK, there is a healthcare system and a housing system, both of which our mother is involved in. And we've gone through a few years of struggle, well, definitely the last year and a half to 2 years, struggling to get certain things in place. But that's equally, I think it goes back to what you said before, it's the organisation. If we had more time, you could sit on the phone for these things.
If you'd have time, what you did, sis, when you came over, you sat on the phone and got a world of stuff sorted, done. which I was very grateful for. It was such a break. So you did that, but you had the time to be on the phone.
Right.
And you was in the house and people were ringing the house, which is another issue. People ringing and then your mum's telling them something which messes up something you've put in place. So you was there at the house taking phone calls and making phone calls. But yeah, if you haven't got that time, it's impossible. The systems now are designed, I think they're designed to make you give up. And also, because you can't get nothing done without sitting on the phone for like an hour. And I just don't have that time.
Right.
So again, what will happen then is if something gets on top, I then have to take a day off to sit at home and be on the phone trying to sort something out. And that's what I've got to do when we go back. The issues we've got at the moment is I'm going to have to take time out just to try and get some stuff sorted out because nothing's happening.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think that's a big frustration for a lot of people. They're still working. We're all still working. We've got our lives living and we're also trying to do an additional piece, not our own healthcare. We're trying to do the additional piece. And so coming back to you then is your own healthcare gets put on the back burner because of you trying to sort out your life, your work, your kids, and then mom's stuff. And so
definitely. Again, if I had that time, there's a lot of stuff I want to do for myself at the moment, checks and stuff like that, but I just can't do it in time frame.
Well, look, we touched on quite a few things, and I think most of the people listening or my audience who have seen some of the other material I've put out there I'm going to put in some information about where this can lead to. And some of you already have read about the fact that I had a stroke, and I am not a candidate for stroke, but all of the variables that built up to that included the stress of worrying about mom, worrying about my brother, worrying about what we were going to do to make sure she was okay, to take the stress off of everybody around us, or us in particular, making sure she was in the best place she could be, which is an accommodation that suited her lifestyle, which she's not right now. And that's the story of many people's lifestyle when they get to, or stories when they get to their baby boomer years and they're in their 70s and 80s, they might still be living in a house that is not conducive to their needs. So all of that is what I was trying to manage, along with running my business, along with doing conferences, along with being in competitions and things to do some stuff for my business, really. That just was overwhelming. And so I got to this point where I started using this phrase. One of the things I felt I was doing is parenting my parent, but really it wasn't me, it was you.
Yeah. But you need to be careful because there's stuff that's out of your control. You can't control it. You can't do nothing about it.
Right.
So that's when you have to manage your stress.
Yeah.
And you have to say, there's nothing I can do about this. So you can give advice, you can send an email, but there's nothing I can do. And you've got to realize that to manage your stress. There's no point in you stressing about something you cannot control.
Yeah.
And that's what I know you do. You're worrying about me and whatever. You might hear my frustration, again, me saying I've got to manage this. My frustration when you speak to me and stresses you out. And you've got to understand there's nothing you can really do about it. And I might be venting. So, you got to say he's venting. And when you put the phone down, you've got to go, but there's nothing I can do. What I can do, I'll do. But there's nothing else I can do. So there's no point in me stressing about that. I've done the bit I can do.
Yeah, and I think I'm better. I'm better since the stroke. Unfortunately, I had to go through that to learn that lesson properly. And I'm better where I feel a little bit tired, I feel a little bit stressed, I get a headache or something, or I hear news and I'm just like, okay, well, there really is nothing I can do. And so I'll go lay down, or I'll go and take an activity that calms my brain down. I'm of that person. I wouldn't call myself an A-type personality, but one of those people who my brain is always on, always on. When I lay down, my brain is still on. It takes a while to shut down. So I have to use certain activities, whether they're, calming activities, meditation, or, these stupid little games on the phone that you have. They actually shut my brain off for a little bit. So I'm not thinking, and then I can get on, you just take a break. I take a break, 30 minutes or whatever it is, and I go back to whatever I need to do. So I've learned that the hard way. And I guess I'm saying that at the end of this podcast session here to let people know that you don't want to get to that position. So you have to find the shut off. So if you shut off for a whole day, meaning you shut your phone off for a whole day, I'm not taking any calls from anyone, whether you line someone else up in position to say, well, look, mum might call you, or you don't. Whatever you have to do, you have to be mindful of it and prepare yourself not to be taking on all of that stress all of the time. Yeah. So I'm going to say thank you, bruv.
You're welcome.
We're always chatting anyway, but just for you to be on this platform with me is quite a treat.
So welcome,
And
anytime.
and I think there's going to be some other people who might think you're a treat. So I'll post a picture of my brother, maybe, and you all can chime in. So listeners, please share with us things that have resonated with you in here, tools that you might be able to use. If you mention things, other people who listen to this podcast may be may benefit from something you mention as well as things we've mentioned. So thanks again. This is the Let's Talk Real Estate for Older Adults podcast with Hilary Walker, the Seniors Real Estate Specialist. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of Let's Talk Real Estate for Older Adults. I hope you found today's discussion as enlightening and inspiring as our team did. Remember, every transition is a new beginning, and we're here to provide information for you along the journey of downsizing, relocating, or aging in place. If today's conversation got you thinking about your own unique situation, I'd love to chat, so book a call with me, and let's figure out the best steps for your next chapter. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe and join our community so you never miss an episode. If you have questions or ideas for a future topic, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Hilary Walker, CEO of Atlanta Seniors Real Estate, signing off. Stay safe, stay positive. Your forever home could be just around the corner. And remember our philosophy: real estate is more than property. It's about the people. And that wraps up another insightful episode of Let's Talk Real Estate for Older Adults. I hope you found today's discussion as enlightening and inspiring as our team did. Remember, every transition is a new beginning, and we're here to provide information for you along the journey of downsizing, relocating, or aging in place. If today's conversation got you thinking about your own unique situation, I'd love to chat, so book a call with me, and let's figure out the best steps for your next chapter. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe and join our community so you never miss an episode. If you have questions or ideas for a future topic, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Hilary Walker, CEO of Atlanta Seniors Real Estate, signing off. Stay safe, stay positive. Your forever home could be just around the corner. And remember our philosophy: real estate is more than property. It's about the people.